And welcome to the Nasboys Sports Podcast. Now, did you know that despite not playing this season, John Wall is earning as much money in 2 years, $91,677,600, as Michael Jordan earned throughout his whole Chicago Bulls career,
That's crazy.
$91,742,500.
Talk about overpaid.
Hey, so, anyways, guys, welcome to the Nasboys Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Mike, aka Mike Bob Fan 101, with my good friend and co-host Christian, aka C Will.
What's up, guys?
All right. And John Wall is not overpaid. He deserved his money when he signed his contract.
Imagine not playing. But anyways, we got a lot of news today. So do you want to start off first with NFL, Mike?
Yes, I would. Let's get started. Ravens released Le'Veon Bell. Wow, just that's shocking, honestly. Le'Veon Bell has been passed around.
Yeah, he just hasn't got a lot of playing time. He's had some injury issues, but yeah, Ravens just right now just looking I mean, they did win today against the Bears, even though they didn't have Lamar Jackson. They won 16-13, and they're 7-3, so they're not too bad. But it is what it is. Le'Veon just hasn't had a team to have consistent minutes with and a team where he feels at home and that will pay him enough. So that's my take.
That's true. I agree with that. And the Ravens are definitely going to be a playoff contender. Eagles re-signed tight end Dallas Goedert. That's a W. Obviously, they traded Zach Ertz earlier, and then they went with Dallas. So good move.
I'm an Eagles fan, but honestly, Mike, I do not know who that guy is. I do not know.
Dallas Goedert?
Yeah, I don't. I can't recall the name, but nevertheless,
literally the starting tight end.
Oh, I thought you said lineman. My fault. But yeah, nevertheless, the Eagles they looked really good today, Mike. We won 40-29. So it's really cool to see Jalen Hurts, have a good game. If I'm correct, he had 4 touchdowns and he passed for about 300 yards, if I'm correct. But the Saints also, they don't have Jameis Winston. They had Trevor Siemian as their quarterback. So I don't think the Saints are going to go anywhere. They're just falling right now.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I said this during the tier list video. I had them making the playoffs, but you're right. They don't have Jameis Winston, and they have Trevor Siemian out there. I don't think that's going to cut it for them. All right. Bears pass rusher Khalil Mack will undergo season-ending surgery, tank season for the Bears, I think. I mean, they could make it to the playoffs, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, the Bears, they've been good some games, and they look like a great team, and then there's some games where they just don't look that good. Khalil Mack, he's been a little injury prone over the past 3 seasons, but he's still one of the best defensive players in the league, no doubt. So it will hurt the Bears. And the Bears, they're looking they need a better defense. They could be better. They're not what they used to be regarding their defense, if you remember the 80s and early 2010s.
Yeah, very true there. So now I want to talk about some of the games that I watched because there's somewhat little NFL news. Starting off with Washington versus Carolina. I have to bring this up. Sorry, Christian. 27-21, Washington beats the Panthers. Let's go, man. I'm happy Washington's on a 2-game winning streak. That's really all I got to say. They played much better today. Defense, not too bad. Heineke outplayed Newton, even though Newton had a good game. I will say that. But, yeah, I'm very happy. Hopefully Washington can go to the playoffs, but we'll see.
Well, I predicted Washington to win this game. I mean, they beat the Bucs last week, and is Cam Newton's return at home for the Panthers. So it was really cool to see, he did really well for us, and I thought we had a chance to win. We should have won, in my opinion. I mean, there's a couple points where there was mistakes made, especially on the coaching end, calling timeouts too early, not punting it. You know what I'm saying? Just giving up possession, giving up field goals. And there's a couple points too. I will say Cam Newton made a mistake by not passing the McCaffrey at one point. He was wide open on a third down. They passed instead to another guy. I think it was Anderson. I don't know if it was Anderson, but he got stopped short. Anderson did make a great catch that they reviewed. He got his foot in bounds. But, yeah, just Panthers just couldn't squeak out the win. I don't know, man. Something about Washington having former Panthers on their team and them doing better than they were on the Panthers. Like Ron Rivera, he's the coach of Washington. He coached for Panthers for a while. Taylor Heineke, he played for the Panthers, was trash, and then all of a sudden in Washington, he's a good quarterback. I just don't understand it. And then the kicker too, Sly. He used to be a kicker for the Panthers, so it's pretty crazy that. Washington, when they joined Washington, they just end up doing way better than they did from Carolina.
And it's funny because this week, one of Christian's favorite basketball teams, the Hornets, and my favorite basketball team, the Wizards, played. And then Christian, your Hornets got the dub. I can't remember the score, but I remember you guys won by like 10 or something like that.
We're on a winning streak right now, for sure. Yeah, we're on a roll. So
Hornets are a very fun team.
We'll get more to the NBA.
Yes, I will say
they are
a fun team. God, we're delayed.
Looking forward to seeing Hornets game in person soon, but yeah.
They're playing tomorrow too, so we might have to commentate that or something like that. I'm going to be watching that game, obviously.
You going to a Wizards game?
I don't know. I want to, but I don't think it will happen this year.
I thought you said you were going tomorrow.
No, I'm going to be watching the game because I watch all the games.
Oh, okay. I was kind of confused for a second. But nevertheless, what was some of the other games you watched today? I caught some.
The only two games I watched, I wanted to watch the Bengals and the Raiders game, but I'm kind of glad I didn't. Bengals beat the Raiders 32-13. And then I watched the Cowboys and Chiefs game, which the Chiefs got the dub by 10 points, 19-9. Solid effort from both teams. The Cowboys really couldn't score a touchdown. They were mainly scoring field goals, and that was about it. But the Chiefs, they're starting to look more like themselves with their winning form. Mahomes and Kelsey, still a dominant duo. Tyreek Hill, very fast runner.
Yeah.
So the Chiefs aren't looking too bad. They could maybe make it to the playoffs, but we'll see.
Well, they should. They're 7-4. They're 4-2 at home, and their running back, Edwards-Helaire, returned from injury, and he's a running back that I had in my top 10 running back list from a couple episodes, maybe like 10 episodes ago. I don't remember how many episodes ago, but we ranked the top 10 running backs in the league. He was in there. But he's back from injury, and he scored a touchdown. He had 63 yards rushing. I will say probably one of the worst things I've seen call-wise over the past week was he got penalized for pointing. He got penalty.
Mahomes takes his pick. Touchdown, Edwards-Helaire. Welcome back. And a flag in the end zone at the end of the play, and we may have another taunting call. Let's take a look at it. They do a great job here of sealing the edge, and then it's 2-on-1.
After the touchdown, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 25 for taunting.
That penalty for taunting for doing this as he crossed the line. So, yeah, I thought that was pretty bad. Yeah, this was a terrible call. And
there's a really bad NBA play when I'll tell you about it later. It was so dumb. Moving on to the MLB.
Well, actually, before we get to the MLB, there's a couple other NFL news going on. The Antonio Brown situation was definitely one of the biggest topics this past week, where he had a fake vaccination card, and he supposedly didn't take the vaccine even though he was supposed to. So there's a lot of drama going on with that. I don't really know a whole lot about the situation, so I'm not going to say anything. Mike, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion about it. He says that he took it, but I don't know. There's also texts that are saying that he had a fake card, so I'm not really going to say anything about it until the team suspends him, and it looks like they didn't. They say that he took it and that they got provided with valid cards. So we'll see.
Yeah, I will say though, Mike, I'm going to have a new little segment here on the show, if that's all right with you. It's going to be called Clown of the Week. So the Clown of the Week, one of them is Antonio Brown, and the other one is Odell Beckham Jr. and his dad. So maybe 3 on the list. So Odell Beckham Jr., as y'all saw in last week's episode, if y'all watched last week's episode, Odell Beckham Jr. cried his way out of Cleveland and went to the Los Angeles Rams because he wasn't getting enough catches or targets. And his father made a whole highlight reel so Odell Beckham Jr., so people could see that Odell Beckham Jr. didn't get past the ball for 1 quarter. Nevertheless, he went to LA, where all the spotlight is, all the attention, you know what I'm saying? And he to be honest with you, Odell's kind of like the party type of guy. He's a guy that you would think would be an LA type. So whenever they played on Monday night, they got demolished, and he was crying up a river on the sidelines. He was pretty upset. And so he's trying to get a ring, trying to bandwagon, and right now it's not looking like it. So, yeah. But nevertheless, Odell Beckham Jr. is also on the Clown of the Week list, which we might add to later on with some of the news we got for the NBA. But nevertheless, I didn't know there'd be MLB news this week. What's going on in the MLB?
We got some free agency news for the most part.
Free agency?
Yeah, free agency. That it started.
Huh. Interesting.
Wait, hold on. I'm gonna cut this recording so that way you can look at it, I think. All right, moving on to the MLS.
Yeah, so the MLS playoffs started this weekend. Major League Soccer, for those that don't know what MLS is. And the round of 16, if I'm correct, started today. I know Atlanta was playing New York and they lost, but Portland went up against Minnesota. Portland won that game 3-1. So Portland advances to play Colorado. Seattle still has to play. Saskatchewan still has to play. Vancouver still has to play. But New York, since they beat Atlanta, they're going to end up playing New England. And Philadelphia beat the Red Wolves 1-0. So Philadelphia is going to play whoever wins Orlando versus Nashville. So, yeah, the MLS playoffs just started. That's pretty much all we got with that. But we'll have more soccer news in the future.
Yeah, this is just kind of a thing that we wanted to add. We were just like, hey, what's that soccer? Okay, cool.
Yeah, we got the NBA next, though.
Yes, moving on to the NBA. Joe Harris suffers sprained ankle and will be out for a couple weeks. I don't think he hasn't been playing too well, and the Nets have been the number 1 seed at the moment as we're recording this, so this shouldn't hurt them too bad. They're playing pretty good. Yeah,
so the Nets actually overtook the Wizards for top spot in the East at the moment. They're ahead by half a game as of Sunday, the day of this recording. Joe Harris is of course one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, if not one of the most efficient shooters in the league. But we'll see how long he's out. Nets, they'll probably still do pretty decent without him, to be honest.
Yes, and like I mentioned earlier, there was a stupid ejection that I have to rant about because just how dumb the refs are. Anthony Davis was ejected for, I think, tying his shoe.
And lost his shoe, threw a shoe in the process.
That's what he did. He lost his shoe.
Yeah.
I just don't understand how you can lose your shoe. They don't strap them up very tight.
Oh, AD's been tossed. He's out of the game. They let him play on before AD could put the shoe on. And that's why he got a 87-66.
You see, he's trying to put his shoe on, but we can't see what the lips are saying.
Yeah, he was on the baseline, like where it's called out of bounds, and he's just tying his shoe, and then the ref is just like, get out. I'm just like, what?
Yeah, well, the thing was, I think Anthony did. It was a terrible call, and Davis was like, hey, my shoe's not on yet, which by NBA rules, you don't have to wait for a player's shoe to be tied to play the game. So I think Davis was thinking he could get a little bit of a privilege thing to where, like, oh, we'll favor you and sort of thing because you're a star. I think that's what he's trying to go for, but it didn't work out. And it was a complete karma for him. But nevertheless, that was a terrible call.
I did not know that. I don't think I would have ejected him, but I probably would have given him a technical for delay of game. But I wouldn't have
I wouldn't
ejected him.
give him anything, tactical or ejection.
Well, I see your point where it could be considered a delay of game.
It's just he wasn't like blocking and inbounds doing that or anything. I just don't think it would have been delay of game.
He probably should have just passed the inbound, tied his shoe, and then got into the paint.
Now, I do know players have been given technicals and delayed games for throwing other people's shoes off the court, but this wasn't throwing it off the court. This was someone trying to tie their own shoes. So, yeah, that definitely is one of the worst calls we've seen in a while. And it seems like we've seen a lot of bad calls this week, and I'll talk about more of that in the college football as well, because there's a lot of bad calls in college football this weekend.
Yeah, there were a couple bad calls yesterday in the NBA, such as one of them being Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He got a technical foul for basically no reason. He wasn't really complaining too much, and if he was being respectful about it. That was stupid. And last night, Jimmy Butler had pushed off, but they call a foul on Bradley Beal. That kind of made me mad.
Well,
But
speaking
Wizards
of that
still
game
won, so
last
good.
night, was it? Well, sorry, what did you say?
I said Wizards still won, so it was worth it.
Yeah, and Bam Adebayo almost made a full court shot. That was insane. If you haven't seen that, Mike, could you show it on the screen?
He misses both. Bam, heave ho. You gotta be kidding me. Wow.
Oh yeah, I was if he hit that, I would have been so depressed.
That was insane. If that went in, that would be one of the greatest shots of all time. I mean, he kind of just one-handed it, launched it, and it was full velocity too. Like
It hit the front iron.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. It was if that went in, that definitely have been talked about for a while.
Yeah. Moving on. Evan Mobley will miss 2 to 4 weeks with a right elbow injury. Cavs are doing better than expected, but that's going to hurt because they're also losing Colin Sexton for the whole season because of his surgery on his meniscus. So Cavs, we'll see how they do. They're a better team than I thought that they were, but Evan's definitely a great player, and that's going to hurt.
Well, without Colin, I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. They are not an 8 seed right now in the East, but without Mobley for a little while, that's definitely going to hurt them. They're currently on a 3-game losing streak, so I think that they're going to drop below the play-in bracket. So they're going to drop for sure.
Yeah. Evan Mobley's probably going to carry for the most part. And Garland, I forgot about him.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Klay Thompson to potentially return the week of Christmas, which Merry Christmas, Warriors fans. That's going to be a great Christmas present. Already adding on to them being the best team and probably the championship favorite right now, in my eyes at least.
Well, I will say definitely the Warriors have been a great team so far. They've definitely improved, and they're doing great chemistry-wise, and they've been performing well. They're 14-2 right now. And Thompson, I've kind of mentioned this before. I don't think Thompson's going to stay healthy long-term. I think he'll probably get hurt again, unfortunately. He's just been plagued with injuries, and It's crazy how long he's been out. The last time he played a game was when Jimmy Butler was on the 76ers and when Chris Paul was on the Rockets, and that was like 2 years ago. I mean, he's been out for a long time, and for him, and they said he was allowed to return to full contact practice, but I mean, a month for full contact practice, that's kind of long. I mean, you would think. So yeah, I just think I know they're trying to be safe and all that, but at the same time, like if he's ready, he should be allowed to come back.
Yeah. I think he'll be fine. I could see your point where he could have another serious injury again, but I think that he'll last the entire season or the entire remainder of the season, and possibly he can get injured next season, but we'll see.
Yeah, the Warriors, Curry's definitely the MVP, the top,
Facts.
if you know what I'm saying, top
Yes.
candidate for MVP right now. And you drafted him on your fantasy team this year, and he's
First
definitely
overall pick, baby.
Yep. And my fantasy team, just trash. I don't know what's going on with their system. I think it's rigged, but that's for another topic. I will say that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
But yeah, I think that Curry definitely he's been leading them well. And when they don't have him on the court, I've watched a couple of their highlights, and it's not been pretty. There's this, when they played the Pistons like the other night, there's a possession or like a 3-minute period where both teams kept airballing and missing. It was just horrible basketball. So, Curry's definitely having a huge impact on the team. And the Warriors right now, of course, #1 team in the league. So we'll see what happens with them. I don't think that they're going to go to the NBA Finals this year, but they're definitely going to make it to the playoffs.
What's their record right now? Like 15-2 or something like that?
14-2.
14-2. That's what I thought. Somewhere around there. I was really shocked at their record. I thought they were going to have a much worse record, but they're playing like they have Clay. It's amazing. At least at this point right now, it's amazing.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the Clippers have surged back into playoff contention. They're now back up to 4th in the Western Conference. They were low. They started off the season really bad, and now they're 10-7, while the Lakers are currently on a 3-game losing streak. So the Lakers are trying to get back in action. And speaking of the Lakers, there was a big fight today that happened just minutes before recording. Lakers and Pistons, they had a fight. LeBron James appeared to accidentally elbow Isaiah Stewart in the face.
You saw Zach LaVine light him up, then Giannis, and then Jason Tatum. And tonight it's their #1 guy, Jeremy Grant. Stewart and LeBron. Stewart is hot, and everybody's coming out now.
Now this is ridiculous. He must have caught an elbow or something, but
oh yeah, he's got a lot of blood streaming from the side of the eye. Look, here goes Stewart.
yeah, I think he's a little upset.
You've got coaches, you got security guys. Look at Dwayne Casey's like, just calm down. And there's Cade Cunningham also.
It was along the free throw line on the free throw, and he's still trying to get loose.
He is knocking over. He's out of the game without question.
I mean,
it's like he's running through the line. That's nuts. That's just crazy right now.
That's just crazy.
Stewart went after the whole team. It seemed like he was just running over people, and I don't blame him. He's just a lot of blood on his face, but he was out of control.
Right. I mean, it's understandable. I would defend myself too. I don't know if he did it on accident. From what I was reading about it, it seemed like it was on accident, but if it was on purpose, I'd definitely be swinging too. But if it's on accident, not cool.
And also, speaking of teams that are not doing too well right now, my Philadelphia 76ers are now 10th in the Eastern Conference.
Really?
Miserable. Yes. We have not been doing too well. Of the last 10 games, if I'm correct, for 4 and 6, we've just went downhill. We've had some little bit of injuries. Tobias Harris was out for a whole week. Joel Embiid's been out for a little bit too. And yeah, we just can't seem to win the game. I mean, we did beat Denver, but we got killed by the Jazz and lost to the Trailblazers without Damian Lillard. So 76ers are not looking too shabby right now.
Yeah, and speaking of Christian's fantasy team, I want to mention this. He has one of the best fantasy teams, and I don't know what's wrong. I'm not going to say his record, but it's not pretty. He's got Trae Young, Devin Booker, Tobias Harris, Giannis, Clint Capella, as his starters. That's a pretty good team. So
Yeah,
I don't know what's wrong with that.
Yeah, like I have Miles Bridges too, Seth Curry, Jordan Poole. I mean, my team is pretty solid, but I thought you were going to mention how much I lost by to my bro Caden. That was why I was like, oh no, please don't tell him, because I somehow lost to Caden by a lot of points, and I don't even know how. But nevertheless, it's pretty much over for my fantasy team this year. Let's just go ahead and tank. I'm probably going to tank and prepare for the draft next season. So. Yeah. Is there any other NBA news?
Yeah, the Kings have fired their coach, Luke Walton. I know that was probably talked about and very expected, so I don't really have an opinion on it. The Kings are just not that great of a team. They got some talent, so maybe they can build around that, but no one really wants to come to Sacramento if you're looking for a win.
I mean, they are 6-11. They're doing a little better than they did starting off last season, but they're still not great.
Right.
They have had a lot of great performances from Harrison Barnes, who I think is one of the most underrated players in the league. De'Aaron Fox has been playing pretty good as well. But there's also been a lot of trade rumors going on with Buddy Hield. Mm-hmm. Nevertheless,
and Marvin Bagley.
Yes, and I think the firing of Walton is definitely a good idea because he hasn't been doing much for them. I don't think he's a good coach, in my opinion.
I agree with you.
And the worst team in the league right now is the Houston Rockets, unfortunately. I mean, I thought the way they started the preseason, they would be good, but they've only won one game so far. So that's pretty crazy.
I'm kind of glad about that because they're trying to rebuild their team. Obviously, they have Jalen Green. They got Kevin Porter. Those guys are really good. But a lot of their fans were hating on John Wall a lot because of his injury prone. And now they're wanting him back. So, in your face, Rockets fans.
Well, first off, they do have a point. John Wall's too injury prone, and he gets overpaid, and he shouldn't get paid for sitting out an entire season. That's just my opinion.
Decent. I mean, it's a decent point. He earned his contract, though. If you watched him in 2017 when he did sign that contract, he earned it.
That was 4 years ago, Mike. 4 years.
No, I'm saying at the time it was not an overpay. You can't deny that. I will say that maybe now he is overpaid and they should buy him out and he should go to a team for a little bit of a smaller contract. But it was not an overpay at the time of the contract.
Okay, I get your point now. At first, I thought you were saying that because of 2017, that's why she's getting paid.
No, I don't blame John and Houston for agreeing to sit out.
Okay.
So moving on to college sports.
Okay, so yes, college football was pretty crazy this past weekend. I mean, there's just a good bit of upsets. But first off, we have to kind of mention, man, oh man, what happened to Wake Forest? They were doing good. I thought they were a good team. And, they were ranked 13th in the country. And they ended up losing to Clemson. So Wake Forest is definitely probably going to drop maybe out top 25 after that. But we saw a lot of good teams, get destroyed this past week. And we saw Oregon, number 3 in the country. They lost 38-7 to Utah. So Oregon's going to drop out of the top 10 probably. Michigan State, one of my favorite college teams. I was going to watch the game, all right? So after I finished NSCS, I turn on the TV, and then all of a sudden I see the score 42-0 at halftime and to Ohio State, and I just turned the TV right back off. I was just like, yeah, this is over. I was like, it's over. So, they lost 56-7, but CJ Stroud definitely. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry to cut you off here, but I will say I'm excited to watch the Michigan-Ohio State game. That's probably going to be a great game.
Yeah, it definitely will be. And, yes, Ohio State arguably has the second best or maybe even the best offense in college football right now. I mean, CJ Stroud, their quarterback, he had 6 touchdowns on Saturday, and their running game's really good too with with Teague the third. I forgot his first name. My apologies. But nevertheless, Ohio State's a really good team, and them going up against Michigan, who beat Maryland. They did beat Maryland. I feel bad for Maryland, man. They got destroyed 59-18.
Oh, man. It's hard being a Maryland fan right now. The basketball team is probably the worst basketball team I've ever seen in their program. And the football team, they're always bad. They don't get good enough recruits. Their defense this year is pretty poor. Talia is not that great of a quarterback this year. And that's just that. They got beat by the better team. Michigan's always been a better team.
And, Michigan, they've had some games where they almost lost the things they shouldn't have. So I honestly think Ohio State's going to beat Michigan by at least 20 points. I don't think it's going to be a close game. But,
I think it will be a high-scoring game. I think it could go in either team's favor. If I had to make a prediction, I'll go with Ohio State, but I could see either team winning it.
Yes, for sure. And, this coming weekend, Thanksgiving weekend, but the day after Black Friday is, of course, one of the biggest days of the college football season, the last week of the regular season matchup. So there's going to be a lot of games that are going to be interesting to watch, to help decide the seedings and the conference championships, which the SEC conference championship has already been decided. So Georgia will face Alabama, the top two teams in the country. And Alabama, they barely beat Arkansas last night. They won 42-35. And there was an insane play where Arkansas pulled off a jump pass, fake kick, touchdown, which if you don't see it now on the screen, you'll see it in the top 10 plays of the week. And Bryce Young, quarterback for Alabama, he had 5 touchdown games, which sets the most yards for an Alabama quarterback in a game. Pretty impressive stat. Georgia.
Tell me when the SEC game is.
I think that's December. I'm going to say one of the first weeks in December.
Ooh, I got to watch that game. That's probably going to be a good one, too.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. So, looking at some of the other scores and notes from this past weekend in college football, UTSA still undefeated, but they're ranked number 22. They beat UAB. So, University of Texas San Antonio Roadrunners are looking good, man.
Yeah, I was looking at their record, and I watched their big play, which that's another play you'll see in the top 15 plays of the week. I don't know why they're not in the playoffs. They're one of the only teams undefeated, and they're like, what, 11th in the country? I don't understand that.
Well, I mean, they do have an easier schedule, so it kind of makes sense. It's kind of like what happened with UFC or UCF, where they did really good and went undefeated one year, but, they didn't have a good, tough schedule to where they would get into the playoff.
I see.
Yeah. So,
the same could be said for Cincinnati then. I hear they have an easy schedule too.
Well, Cincinnati, I think, still ranked in the top 4, but I may be wrong. They might move. What I think they're going to do, what I would rank is I would put Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, or move Ohio State to 2, and put Michigan at 4, and then Cincinnati at 5.
Yes.
That's what I would do at the moment.
I agree with that.
And then Cincinnati at 6. But nevertheless, there's, Appalachian State, they won 45-7. So Appalachian State's 9-2. They should be ranked, in my opinion. A couple other big games. You saw South Carolina beat Auburn to become bowl eligible. Auburn, they started off the season good, and then now Auburn's just, they're 6-5. They ain't looking too good down there. I think that Alabama's going to crush Auburn on Saturday. I don't think it's going to be close. But South Carolina has a big game against Clemson. I think this is going to be the year where South Carolina is going to give Clemson their closest game in a while, because Clemson over the past couple of years has had South Carolina's number, unfortunately. So we'll see. Maybe the Gamecocks could beat Clemson this year. I hope so, but I don't know. I'm predicting them not to, but we'll see. My Wisconsin Badgers won this weekend too, and that was a controversial finish of that game. It just came down to the wire where it looked like it was a pass interference call, kind of bumped into the Nebraska receiver, but they didn't call it. So there was a couple bad calls in college football this weekend regarding pass interferences, or looked like pass interferences. So yeah, that's pretty much going to wrap up college football this week. All right, Mike, do you have any maybe predictions for this upcoming weekend of college football?
I already made my biggest prediction with Ohio State beating Michigan. I think they're going to barely beat them. I'm not really too sure about a score, but I think that Ohio State's going to win, like I said. That's pretty much all I got to say. I think the playoffs are basically going to stay the way they are with, Georgia 1, Alabama 2, Ohio State 3, and then Michigan 4th.
Well, we'll see, because Michigan does have one loss, same thing to Ohio State. So the winner, I think whoever wins that game is automatically in the playoffs, but whoever loses might get kicked out, because they're probably going to end up putting Cincinnati in the top 4 because they're undefeated.
I would not be surprised.
That's probably what they're going to do. And Alabama would probably get moved to 3. We'll see. I mean, whoever wins Georgia and Alabama is going to be number 1 regardless, I think.
Right.
So, yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. But moving on, we got college basketball. So there hasn't been a whole lot of college basketball news this week. There's been a couple big games. They started off the Cheez-It Hall of Fame tip-off tournament. They had the Maui Invitational, I think, started too this weekend. The Shiners Children's Charleston Classic started. One big game today was number 17 Tennessee versus number 16 North Carolina. And Tennessee won that one by 17 points. But right now there's not a whole lot of college basketball news. There was the news about the Duke player. Why can't I think of his name? But he got in trouble for DUI, and then Coach Mike Krzyzewski's son was also involved with that. So that was a big controversy over the past, I don't know, it was like a week and a half ago when that happened. But yeah, right now, top 5 in the AP top 25, still Gonzaga 1, UCLA 2, Kansas 3, Michigan 4, and Villanova 5. Duke fell down to 7. One surprise in particular that I see in the top 25 is St. Bonaventure. They're at number 22, and this is the first time I've seen them in the top 25 in, I don't know, a couple years. So them being up there is good. USC has actually gotten to the top 25 now. But yeah, there's a lot of, like, since December hits is when they usually have a lot of non-conference matchups at the beginning of the season and at the beginning of December. So they have like a bunch of little tournament games. Villanova and Purdue played. That was a number 5 and 6 ranked matchup, and Purdue actually beat Villanova. So Purdue's undefeated right now, 5-0. Villanova fell to 3-2. So I think Purdue's going to move up in the rankings. Villanova's going to fall down. Arizona and Michigan play tonight on Sunday. So that's a matchup of undefeated. So yeah, that's pretty much what the college basketball news has.
Fire Mark Turgeon. I know that's random, but I want him gone.
Oh, man. All right. So what topics do we have left? I think we have the NHL and top plays.
Yes. NHL up next. If you got any news?
NHL, man. Okay, so the Tampa Bay Lightning, they have been moving up a little bit in the Eastern Conference. One of their stars, center Braden Point, he's out with an upper body injury. I don't know how long he'll be out, but he had a hard hit. Hits the boards on Saturday, so he's out for a little bit. The national anthem, one headline I saw that I thought I'd put down my notes was my voice cracked so bad. The New York Islanders, their fans helped sing the national anthem. Was so proud we at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallant. recent game, and I thought that was pretty cool.
That is really cool. They did that They did that during the playoffs too, and honestly, it was probably the most powerful version of the national anthem I've ever heard. It was beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. And the Florida Panthers are still arguably probably the best team in the league right now. They're still 13-2-3. Toronto Maple Leafs have been doing pretty well. I kind of mentioned this in the news, or I didn't mention it because I wasn't here last week, but when I was making the notes, I kind of mentioned that Toronto has been moving up. They did start off kind of slow, but they're now 12-6-1. We got the Carolina Hurricanes up in the top of the East as well. And the Washington Capitals have turned things around. They are 11-2-5 with 5 overtime losses. So 5 overtime losses isn't bad for the Capitals in regarding points. And they're second in the Metropolitan Division, if that's how you pronounce it. So Washington's turned things around. And moving on to the Western Conference, it's still Minnesota at the top of the Western, Winnipeg second. I actually watched Winnipeg and Minnesota play a couple nights ago. That was an interesting game. And Edmonton's top of the Pacific. Calgary Flames, man, they've been on a roll recently. They're on a 2-game winning streak, and they've moved up to second in the Pacific. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. The Seattle Kraken, new team in the NHL, they're struggling right now. They're 4-12-1. See if there's any other news I have here on my notes. And the other one is that the Colorado Avalanche signed their coach, Jared Bednar, to a 2-year extension. So I think that's deserved because the Colorado Avalanche have been pretty good. So that's all the NHL news I have for this week.
All right, so let's get started with the top 15 plays of the week. We got to do a lot of these because there's so many good plays. Coming in at number 15 is LaMelo Ball's alley-oop to Miles Bridges.
Oh, my goodness! LaMelo finds Miles at the rim!
At number 14, we got Giannis blocking this fast break attempt. Really cool display of athleticism from the Greek Freak.
With the alley.
Oh,
Giannis! What a block to save the game-time bucket!
Here's the clip.
In at number 13, Dawson Mercer wraparound goal.
Mercer what a goal by Dawson Mercer as he tucks it in. Thought he was going to go around the net, came back and found some room to tuck it in on Vasilevsky.
That is a terrific goal. You got to hand it to him. The Lightning were all overloaded on one side, and Mercer's got room in that right wing. But watch him come in here with a lot of speed, takes a look in the middle, fakes like he's going around, really smart.
At number 12, we got Jordan Davis's diving catch.
Bottom of your screen. Again, Davis. This time he's in for the touchdown.
Lineman. In at number 11, Devin Booker, underhand layup. Very tough finish. I loved it.
Oh, what a shot by Booker, hanging in the air and then going around the defender to bank it home.
Let's take a look at the spectacular move, spinning and then the beautiful underhand laying over the contested hand.
At number 10, we got Marcus Smart making a smart play by having this hustle save to Jason Tatum, who went up and slammed it home.
You hit the deck. Look at Marcus Smart. Get that loose ball, and one way or another, the Celtics were going to score because that's what happens when Marcus Smart is on the floor now. Enjoy it.
That's a nice pun there. In at number 9, Fats Russell, inbound steal.
And the steal from Fats Russell. Maryland holds on.
I've never heard of him before. Is that a problem?
No, he's from Rhode Island and he transferred. He's decent.
Oh, okay. I'll check out his highlights. But anyways, moving on, we got George Kittle basically destroying Von Miller on this block. He pretty much showed Von Miller what's up. Here's the clip.
exact play over and over, and he just gets past Brunskill, 60, the guard there, and gets in the backfield for a tackle for loss.
Yeah, when the ball handling in the back.
In at number 7, Paul George makes shot while falling.
PG doing PG things right here. Nice touch. Mwah, off the glass.
That's not the first time we've seen him make a shot like that. He's had a couple circus shots in his career. But moving on to number 6, we got Chris Paul putting his old body on the line, making this incredible save out of bounds to DeAndre Ayton. Here's the clip.
Paul driving, got bumped. Oh, Ayton on the cut and the jam.
In at number 5, DeAndre.
From Jordan's wedge.
I'll tell you what, let's look at the replay. He's in. That was his toe right there. A heck of a play on the sideline to bring that one in.
On second down with 1:21 remaining. Pressure from the safety. Right, throws to the sideline. It is caught! Intercepted, he got a toe down! Wow! What a fantastic play by Prince!
A Prince body bending interception.
This one was pretty crazy, to be honest with you. I was surprised he got both feet in bounds. That was very athletic play. Okay, so at number 4, we got University of Texas San Antonio, which we mentioned earlier, keeping their dream season, Cinderella season, alive after this tipped overtime pass, which turned into a touchdown and won them the game. Roll the clip.
3rd down and goal from the 7 seconds to play in the game. Harris takes the snap. It's low. He picks it up. He's going to throw a pass into the end zone. Caught! Goodness catches it. Oscar Cardenas with the catch. Touchdown, UTSA. Time is out. UTSA wins.
In at number 3, Arkansas successful fake field goal. Very impressive play.
And it's a fake, and it's a jump pass, and it's caught by Kern, and he's going to score. Touchdown, Arkansas. Are you kidding me?
What a play. What a catch.
At number 2, we got Michigan faking a kickoff return for a touchdown.
And a pooch kick. And they're going to throw it back the other side. How about this? A.J. Henning. A.J. Henning. See you later. Touchdown, Michigan.
And in at number 1, it's a tie because I didn't know whether to add 5 more plays and make it the top 20 or do the tie, so I just decided to do a tie. But at number 1, Butler full court shot for the win. Here's that clip.
Easy chucks it 3/4 court and it's back in. Oh my goodness!
And Tyler Hero he tried to throw an alley-oop up, but instead made a half-court shot. Here's that clip.
The glass. Each all-time leading rebounder. Oh, that was over the head of oh, it went in! Tyler Hero!
Watch how hard he throws this. Unbelievable that it rattled in and went in. Jimmy can't believe it either. Oh, that was so clearly a pass.
Yeah, both of those plays were quite insane. And I agree with that. I'm glad we have a tie for the number 1 spot on this week's Plays of the Week. So, yeah, let us know down below what your thoughts are on this week's episode and on the top plays, too. Let us know what you think could have been above the other one.
Yeah, what was your favorite play this week? Comment down below.
If you don't comment down below, then your favorite player will do bad for you on your fantasy team this coming weekend.
Yes. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Comment, like, and subscribe. We will see you guys in the next video. Make sure you guys follow our socials, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace.
Happy Thanksgiving. See y'all.
Yes, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Enjoy your week.